Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, recording what's likely to be episode 300 and, 304 or so. Today I have with me Dan Woods, CEO at Socotra. Dan, thank you for being here with me today. How's it going?
Hey, good to be there. Good to be here.
Awesome. So first of all, congrats on the recent Series C. Fantastic news, 50 million, right?
Indeed. Quite excited about that. Brings up to just under 100 in total.
Fantastic. We always give the guest a chance to give the elevator pitch. So what is Socotra?
Yeah. So Socotra is it's the first insurance core system that's modern, like legit modern. When I say core, I mean policy admin, underwriting, those sorts of workflows. And when I say modern, what I mean is it's truly cloud. It is truly open APIs for making microservice architectures. All the documentation's on the website. The kind of stuff that you come to expect from a Twilio or AWS or Square or Stripe, you can find with Socotra. And our belief is that it's long time past for someone to create one of these to serve the need in policy administration, which is the heart of every insurer.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, the focus, or at least the focus right now, is MGAs, right?
Well, we have quite a few tier one customers, but the Insurtech MGAs, and then some of them are carriers, but the Insurtechs are definitely where we've been seeing the most traction and the most interest, because they get it, and for a variety of reasons I can get into. That's where both our focus has been and where the strongest interest has been. But we do work with a lot of tier ones. Some of the ones you can read about are like AXA, Mutual of Omaha, a few others. I can't remember which ones are public info yet, but quite a few.
Okay, so ultimately you are a full-on Guidewire Duck Creek competitor.
You could say that. The one thing I'm going to put out there, though, is our mission is not and never was to be a Guidewire or Duck Creek that just happens to be modern. Our mission was to be a company like, as I alluded to, like a Twilio or AWS, or just a modern cloud proper company that happens to do policy administration instead of, telephony or cloud infrastructure or CRM or what have you. And that's how we see ourselves. We do run into them, of course, in competitive situations and so forth. Not as much on the Insurtechs, as you can imagine. They're not looking to drop $20 million on their system. They're thinking about MVP. They can't afford something that's going to take 4 or 5 years to get live and so forth.
Okay, so for the Insurtech MGAs and Insurtech carriers, and there's a bunch of those. So they need a back-end system to run the company on, to run the insurance on.
Store the policy somewhere.
How fast can you guys get them online? Like, what's that process like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it varies a bit, of course. On the answer is always it depends. I mean, we had one customer last year get live in I can't remember. It was just a handful of weeks, and in fact, just a few days ago, we announced them as the recipients of our. We gave out a handful of awards for our customer innovations and partners and so forth, and they got one for fastest launch. That's Alpha Secure. And very, very excited about what they did. And then others have gone very fast as well. They happen to be the record breakers, the record holders for last year. On the other end, there are some folks who take a little while to figure out what product they even want to sell, and they're revising their pricing and things like that. Some of them have a customer app, for example, that they really want to get just right before they ship, and maybe they're going to spend 7 months building their custom app before they can go live. Typically, though, we're looking at something in like the 4 to 5 month range.
Okay.
For Insurtechs.
Okay. And what's kind of the origin story? How did you guys realize that this was a need in the market?
Yeah. Well, first off, surprise to a lot of people. My background's not insurance. My background's data platforms. I studied AI in grad school. After that, worked at a big enterprise software company thinking about data models, big data, APIs, these sorts of things. And coming out of there, what caught my attention about insurance was really a combination of I guess, combination of 4 things. It's completely data driven. You can't get more data driven of an industry than insurance.
All we do is data, yeah.
But yeah, all they do is collect, organize, store, and analyze information. That's all it is. Completely data driven, which means that improvements in information technology are going to have the maximum impact on their ability to operate. Second is that the industry is big enough to matter, but it may be a nice way of saying big enough to afford to build a large and successful company. And third, it has to be behind enough in technology that there's a lot of room for a new entrant to come in and make an impact. So, for example, advertising has been pretty well worked over. Google and so forth have built a lot of things there. I'm not going to create a new advertising platform. I mean, obviously some do. There are some startups there, but that's not what I want to do. And then, of course, fourthly, there need to be an opportunity to get started. And the opportunity to get started that I found was the private equity firm in San Francisco that was doing a roll-up of insurance companies. And they had raised money, started buying companies, built an insurance consulting firm to modernize them, get them going. And a cornerstone of what they were going to do was to give them the best technology they could find, become experts in the best technology they could find, and do the rollout. They had a really unpleasant surprise when they found that there was no product on the market. There wasn't a single thing on the core systems whereby they could hire a few engineers, they could get an eval license, they could grab the documentation off the website, they could learn how to roll it out, and they could do it and so forth. And they were astounded that an industry this big and this data-driven didn't have such a thing. So I ended up talking with them, and within one conversation, frankly, it became apparent that if what they're saying is correct and they want to partner with me on this, we had to create this company. And that did a handful of things for us. Gave us an initial guaranteed customer to experiment with, give us access to their insurance consulting firm that had actuaries and underwriters from AIG, Swiss Re, McKinsey, so that I could concentrate on hiring the technical talent and product talent and have the insurance expertise handled there, and then a place to experiment with the insurer, and of course provided capital along the way and so forth. So they provided a lot of the early capital. Anyway, so that's kind of how we got it going. I mean, from there, obviously, it was still a long road, but that was the genesis of it.
I'm amazed at how well insurance fits into the things that you were looking for.
Yeah.
Because it truly is just a perfect fit. It reminds me a lot of
big information-driven, outdated technology.
Yeah, exactly. Like gigantic, trillions of dollars in premium, incredibly outdated technology, and ultimately information is all we do in one way or another. Which is funny because that's not at all how we think of it, at least historically how we have thought of it. But it reminds me a lot of the Amazon origin story, where when Jeff Bezos looked at the different products, books made perfect sense for what he wanted to do, and that's why they started on that.
Yeah. Now, unlike Bezos, though, Bezos did not stop at books, and I don't want to do anything more than work on this. This industry is enough for me, and if we can make data really work in this industry and make it available through well thought out data models, accessible through APIs, really in the cloud, I think that's enough of a mission for any person.
Oh,
absolutely. Socotra. I'm not saying you disagree with it. I'm just calling that out there.
So what could we do as an industry if our data was today at the Google, Amazon
Yeah.
level of data?
Yeah. So as I like to say, as an anecdotal example, I mean, we live in a time now where a university student over spring break can create like a get cheeseburger app over a weekend that will call Google Maps APIs and find all restaurants within 1 mile, then call the Yelp API, get ratings for them, and then take the top one and call the DoorDash API and place an order, and call the Twilio API to send a message saying that it's coming, and do that in short order. What would have taken 6 years ago for an Accenture or Deloitte to create something like that? That would have been that'd be like a $100 million piece of software. So the velocity that you can achieve and the flexibility you can achieve with modern enterprise approaches can't be overstated. And I think part of what this is going to mean for insurers is that historically, if you're an insurer whose IT is in, so let's compare the top quartile to the bottom quartile, that might be a 50% improvement. If you've got two insurers and one's at the top quartile versus bottom of technology, maybe the one at the top quartile can release a product in 2/3 the time, or maybe it costs half as much. These sorts of things, not massive customer impacts, and things that can be made up in other ways. We are now in a place where the difference between top and bottom quartile is an order of magnitude, and it's going to become 2 orders of magnitude. And that's the impact that this has, because of like the example of my fictitious university student, and the kind of velocity and cost savings that can come from that are going to make an enormous separator that is absolutely going to be apparent to the end customer and differentiating.
Okay, so basically, what you see is technology in our industry making it a lot more of a winner takes all than it's historically been.
I don't know if it's going to become winner take all. Probably ever. I think that insurance is going to stay pretty fragmented, if only because there aren't significant network effects. I think that it's going to have a big difference in who the winners and losers are.
Okay, so what we could see is kind of like what happened with in the last 30 years with Geico and Progressive using national advertising and internal efficiency to outrun State Farm and
I mean, like here's a
and
company that comes to mind to me, Casper. Casper didn't just destroy and dominate mattresses. I mean, we know who they are. They're very valuable. They may be the most valuable mattress company. I don't know if they are, but it would surprise me because of the speed of growth, velocity, the margins, and so forth. But I don't think anyone believes that we're headed for a place where 60% of Americans are sleeping on a Casper mattress, for example. It's probably going to remain fragmented because that's just the nature of the business. And we're probably headed, I'm thinking that insurance products work more like that.
Okay. And the capital requirements make it hard, right? As a carrier, you have to hold on to a ton of capital at pretty conservative investments in order to write premium against it. So yeah, fragmentation is definitely unavoidable. So what else needs to change in the way that we do technology in the insurance space?
Yeah, so I think we need to change the way that technology is evaluated, and in 2 ways, really. One, when evaluating a technology, I think we need to step away from the old RFP paradigm. Now, RFPs are absolutely necessary if you want to buy something that's custom. So if what you're if you want to buy the turnkey solution and have a system integrator build it for you, where maybe you've got, Socotra for admin and using like Stripe for payments and DocuSign for e-signature and so forth, and you want to know what the whole thing's going to look like, yeah, you're going to need an RFP because you're describing something that doesn't exist. But when you're buying a component of it, when you have a build mentality combining off-the-shelf components, you don't send them RFPs. You don't send RFPs are for customizations. You don't use RFPs for products. You're never going to, but we see this metaphorically. You're never going to buy a car with an RFP. You don't go to the BMW dealership and go, could you fill this out while they're offering you the keys? Do you want to try it? No. We want to see that. Could you please fill out this questionnaire? It's like, I have the car right here. You could drive the car right now. And but metaphorically, we see that all the time. We see insurers that like will refuse an eval license and say, no, fill out this RFP with 200 questions. We're like, just want to try it. And so that's something that's definitely going to change as they get used to the idea that things are productized that used to be custom. Obviously, when your systems were all custom, which is the case when you're outside of Socotra, including the big incumbents, they're custom software. There is no off the shelf. You can't get one of those with an eval license and just try it out. Try it. You're going to get 3 guys in your office with suits and PowerPoint telling you about the thing they will build for you and talking about what they built for this person in the past and so forth. Yeah, you need RFPs when you're dealing with that. So that's definitely going to change things. The other thing that's going to change things is the expectations of what the software needs to look like. So we are headed towards, let me use an example of my fictitious university student. Why is he or she able to do that? What changed? Because what we're really talking about there is best of breed, which is not a new concept. In fact, when I mentioned best of breed to insurers, it often like gives them high blood pressure and heartburn, because when they hear best of breed, what they're imagining is vendors pointing fingers at each other when something doesn't work, and these like log jam upgrade cycles where you can't change anything because of all the dependencies and nothing can upgrade and so forth. These are the nightmares that they've seen. But then you've got microservice architecture. And with microservice, or I like to say multi-service architecture, just because microservice has a specific name, a definition largely championed by Amazon. I've even heard some people say nano-service architecture, please. I think you get a little dramatic there. As though you have a billion of these things. Microservice architecture, I think it's a rebranding of best of breed. And what changed here? Why is it people like multi-service but don't like best of breed? And why is it that our fictitious university student can achieve something really amazing in short time with what's really a best of breed solution? And it really comes down to 3 things that the components need to have to become best of breed ready. That's what's really changed, is that multi-service architecture means that best of breed now works because you have components with the right attributes. What are those attributes? And there are 3 of them. They have to be true cloud, they have to have open APIs, and they have to be off the shelf. Truly open APIs, truly cloud, truly off the shelf. When you have those 3 things, the way in which you can put things together and maintain systems and so forth is you're playing a different sport at that level. It's a completely different thing, just like the university student that I'm alluding to. And what's amazing about these 3 things is you don't have to be the least bit technical to determine if you have them. How do you know something's really in the cloud? Here's a litmus for you. If something's truly in the cloud, it means the vendor doesn't have to schedule the upgrades with you. And Gmail's never scheduled an upgrade with me. Dropbox never scheduled an upgrade. You just keep using it. It keeps working and it keeps getting better. That's what cloud does. Open APIs, pretty simple. Just go to the website, look for the documentation. Or put another way, when you buy the license Does more documentation come with it? Because if that's the case, well, why do you need to get the documentation later? Why am I receiving something that someone else didn't receive? What's different there? And you're probably dealing with a customization, because it's pretty well understood at this point that you document the stuff you're going to buy. I mean, heck, I'm looking around me. I mean, I've the laptop, the microphone, the camera, all these things. You can go to the websites for any of these things. You can download PDFs of the documentation. This is just how products work. This is not news. The only reason you don't get this is because what you're buying isn't actually a product, it's custom. And then off the shelf, easy to tell if you've got that. Something's off the shelf when you can get access in under 24 hours. And I mean, not just access to, here's an example configured thing that you could make, but you have access to the exact same thing that you would get or will get when you actually purchase it. Now you put these three things together. That's what our fictitious university student had when he or she used, what was it, Google and Yelp and DoorDash and Twilio. These things are all off the shelf. You can get access pretty quickly, right away. Open APIs, go to any of the website, and they're all in the cloud. And that's what enables this. That's what unlocks this kind of innovation that's going to have this order of magnitude or orders of magnitude increase in value and decrease in cost versus the way of doing things. So anyway, you asked what's going to change. I think that people are going to be looking at these three things, and all the vendors are going to be in, they're going to be in one list or the other. They're either multi-service ready or they're not. And insurers, well, not just insurers, I mean, enterprises in every industry are going to only start buying for the ones that have that. So I think that's what's going to change.
Okay. So you guys have built the policy piece. And you kind of talked about how some of the pieces are already available, right? Using Stripe for payments, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. What pieces are still needing to be built for the entire insurance process to be able to be put together?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of up and coming ones. I mean, there's a lot of them that I like to see mature a bit. There are a lot of new companies to be built, creating parts of the value chain around the ecosystem that meet these three requirements. There are also ones that are out there that are doing good work. They're not there yet, and they're working on adding these things. Like maybe they still do go down for upgrades. They're trying to add it, and they're still small enough that they can make that change. If you're too big, you'll never have it.
Okay. Given how far behind us we are in technology as an industry, I mean, even though there's been a ton of investments in the last 5 or 10 years, can we catch up to the entertainment and advertising and like communications and these sorts of things? No, and I don't think we want to. Okay, this is a more risk-averse industry. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, if my advertising, goes down because it's taking bigger risks or something like that, then like that's one thing. But this is an industry that needs to be there when people are at the most vulnerable, when everything else is falling apart, when there's the earthquake and the storm, the tsunami. This needs to be there, and it attracts more risk-averse people, and necessarily so. I don't think that's going to change, and frankly, that shouldn't change. Now we're seeing move like taking cloud, for example. We've now reached the point where cloud, why is it shifting to cloud? And I don't know that's even shifting cloud necessarily because it's better, although of course it is better. I think it's shifting to cloud because that's actually lower risk. The risk is they're not moving towards more innovation, they're moving towards lower risk. And now having your own servers is a risk. Those servers can go down. You may lose the person who knows how to manage them. They could have security vulnerabilities just as easily. You could have
customers can experience downtime and so forth because you can't expand fast enough, and those sorts of things. I feel like there's some big ones I'm missing there, but the point is the risk is actually lower in the cloud. And what happened as soon as the world figured that out, just the insurers all decided we're going to cloud now. Of course, they couldn't change overnight, but it's almost overnight. They all declared we're done buying on-premises platforms.
So given what insurance is and how important it is and how regulated it is and who it's ran by, it makes sense to modernize, but really resiliency is probably more important than in industries that are not critical for the economy and critical for the people that are.
Yeah. And of course, cloud has huge resiliency. Like, I mean, just, taking Socotra, for example, if for some reason something happens to a data center, we have automatic multi-site failover. And that, I mean, we had that when we were a 20-person company, however many, 4 years ago, probably more. The engineering effort it would take to do that with an on-prem offering using, circa 2006 technology would be just, it'd be a non-starter.
Okay. So I always say that when the podcast goes live, I'll tag you on LinkedIn and I'll include the company website. New Insurtech MGAs or Insurtech MGAs unhappy with their current backend system for policy management, or carriers. What's the best way to take a look at the Socotra system?
Oh, if you want to take a look at it, I mean, you go to the website, click request a demo or more information, or and happy to chat with them. Also, when we go to all the major conferences, we'll be launching our own podcast next month, MGA Founders, in which I speak with founders of MGAs, hear about their stories and so forth. Some are our customers, some aren't, but all people who are in the family. Those are certainly ways that people can learn more. And then because of the nature of what it is, you can learn more in a really lightweight way. I mean, you can go to the website and you can read all about it, for example. I mean, I challenge anyone to go to any of the other websites and figure out, what do they actually do and how does their system actually work? I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can't find out about these systems that insurers are going to be counting on for every policy action they do. And that's something that's a differentiator. So yeah, of course, be happy to chat with anyone, and especially the Insurtechs, the Insurtech MGAs, Insurtech carriers as well, but the vast majority are MGAs, of course. And I love chatting with them. I chat with them every day. And I love chatting with the founders and the direction they need to go in as they, of course, this is technology, but they also need capacity and team and product and capital. So much more to be done, and obviously you help out with the team component quite a bit, which is fantastic, and we help out with capacity, and there's it takes quite a community, and it's been fantastic to see the community grow, and to see the way that founders help each other, and helping to connect them to capacity, capital, and technology and team.
And I've got to say, when we chatted offline a couple of weeks ago, planning for this recording, very impressed with your general approach of I want to help you find whichever pieces you're missing for this. So for the listeners, if you're looking at running an Insurtech MGA, definitely reach out to Dan, even if Socotra system is not the right fit for you. Very, very willing to help find the other pieces that you need to make it happen. And when does the Insurtech MGA MGA Founders, right, is the name of the podcast, MGA Founders, When does the MGA Founders podcast go live?
It goes live April 5th.
Okay, perfect. Actually, this episode will probably
Yep.
come out a little bit after
Yep.
that.
We'll have the initial one. It's going to be with Nestor from Seago, which
Love
is a
Nestor.
really exciting MGA and a customer of ours, making auto insurance available for the Hispanic speaking community in the US.
Yeah, love Nestor, great guy. Given that this will go live probably a few days after that, I'll make sure to include the link to the first episode. So go check out the MGA Founders podcast.
Yep.
So Dan, thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to see you continue to modernize our industry, which desperately needs it, into the three pillars that you're espousing, which make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, well, indeed, it's good work and it's exciting, and it's really exciting to see the MGAs come alive when they're operating on the kind of software that they know is possible, because they're startup people. They know what software is supposed to be like. They're on AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, and they know what that's like. They're using the likes of Stripe and Square, and they know what an API is and so forth. And they're so hungry to find software that can run on and a partner that they can have that works like they know it's supposed to work. And especially when we meet one of the ones that's evaluated several others, and then they see one that's actually like, sometimes they've even lost hope, or sometimes they've even gone live on something else, and they thought it was just a necessary evil. Seeing them come alive when they see something that really works this way is just fantastic.
Makes sense. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thanks for inviting me. It's been really fun.
Thank you.